Hello, this is Luke.
And I'm Elijah. And we are the Eagles of Steel. So, today we are going to do wide receivers. The last 2 weeks, if you didn't see those videos, please check the last 2 weeks out. We did quarterbacks, running backs.
And now for the rough one.
Wide receivers. So, do you want to start with your honorable mentions?
Yeah, my number 12 was DeAndre Hopkins. Now, this could be very controversial in a way.
He is good.
He's still good. He may be old, but he's still good. 75 catches for 1,057 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Not bad.
14.1 yards per catch.
And he's had no QB pretty much for half the season.
And he had 300 more yards than 2 years ago in Arizona. Which that's not bad.
Dang.
And my number... Actually, no, you do your number 12.
Yeah, my number 12... This is going to shock everybody. Ja'Marr Chase.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, Ja'Marr Chase, he had 1,216 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and he averaged 12.2 yards per catch, which on my list is actually the second lowest receiving yards per catch and all that stuff. He played 16 games. He's in his third year. And I got to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He had... Joe Burrow get hurt, so he had to try to play with a guy like Drake Browning. So I have to be honest that he had it rough. He's still, I don't know what to expect from him next year. Plus all the whole controversy stuff with him right now, I don't know what to think. My number 11 is also going to shock everybody. I have Nico Collins from the Houston Texans.
Ooh, the nice wideout that they have.
Yeah, he's kind of a slot receiver, but he is technically number 1. He had 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he averaged 16.2 yards per catch.
That's like the third highest in yards per catch.
Yeah, it is. But then here's the thing. He missed 2 games. He could have had more yards, which is what's really interesting about it. He's also in his third year, and him with Stephon Diggs, which I'm going to already spoil that now, he's not on my list. Is that's still going to be a really big threat. But
that's my number 11 is Diggs.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs. 100 is for his last year in Buffalo. He had 107 catches for 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns. He had the lowest in yards per catch, though, but he makes up for that by the yards and the TDs that he has.
How many touchdowns did Diggs have anyway?
8.
Yeah, okay. He still did a decent job, man.
But it's not quite on my top 10 list because my number 10 being Amari Cooper.
He did good.
Because you got to remember this. The Browns really didn't have that bad problem at quarterback, and you have one good wideout.
And that wideout did the entire team pretty much.
I can do all things.
72 catches for 1,250 yards and only 5 touchdowns, but the second best yards per catch, 17.4 yards per catch.
Ooh.
So that's why he's kind of on my 10 because it's up there.
Yeah. So actually, unfortunately, I actually did not include Amari Cooper because of the touchdown count. He was technically the lowest, and also the game he played all 17 games, from what I remember.
He had a backup QB some of the time.
And I also know that too. So it's he still did good, but I had to kind of adjust it, and I was I just couldn't fit him in because there were just so many good players. Because my number 10 was actually the number 1 guy in average yards per catch, Brandon Ayuk. He played 16 games, so he actually missed one too. He had 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, and we already said the average. He's been in the league for 4 years now too, so it's he's kind of getting himself developed. There's a chance he might get traded still. I don't know how that's going to go yet.
That and Debo, both of them.
Both of them get traded. Imagine if the 49ers lost both of those guys.
Well, I have left the CMC then.
Yeah, that would not be good for them. Well, good for you, but not good for them.
Yeah.
My number 9, Chicago Bears' very own DJ Moore.
Okay.
He did fantastic last year, even under a quarterback like Fields and that awful offensive coordinating. He still did really good. He had in 17 games, he had 1,364 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 14 average yards per attempt or whatever per catch, which is very solid. He's been in the league for 6 years, and That's like he's just so lethal. So it's going to be really hard to stop him, especially if Caleb Williams plays good. Then and he has a guy like him,
And he's not that bust that we thought he might be.
yeah. If Caleb Williams does play good, then it's going to go crazy. But anyway, how about you?
My number 9, I have Mike Evans. The Tampa's big wideout.
veteran right there.
79 catches for 1,255 yards. And tied for the most touchdowns, 13.
Oh yeah, gotta remember that.
And 15.9 yards average per catch. So that's not bad. You didn't probably know this. You probably look up this stat. But he's had, every single season he's been in the league, he has 1,000 yards.
I knew that actually. Like I didn't think to include it on here because I was only talking about like last year's stats. But that is a really cool fun fact to know that he has just been this consistent.
And my number 8, I have your number 10. I have Ayuk. You pretty much
Sure.
went over what I did. What I wrote down here: 75 catches for 1,342 yards and 7 TDs. 17.9 being the most yards per catch.
Yeah, in the league.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not much to say.
Yeah.
It's Ayuk.
Yeah, Ayuk's been like great for the 49ers.
Which is crazy because normally it's Debo that is the main man, but not last year though.
Yeah. My number 8 is Keenan Allen, another guy who's on the Chicago Bears now. He had his, so I'm going to wait to say for the games played because that's actually really interesting. So his receiving yards, he had 1,243 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he averaged about, this is actually the lowest one, 11.5 yards per catch or whatever. It's the lowest, but games played is 13.
So
He missed 4.
He could have had way more.
He could have had way more yards. So he could have been like, he could have easily been up there with all the likes of all of my top guys. So I had to include him. My number 7 has to go to the Rams rookie Puka Nacua.
Oh, yeah!
And if you guys watched him during the regular season,
This man was a rookie. By the way.
yeah. Whew.
He's better than Cup. I'm putting that out there now.
Last year he definitely was better than Cup. Cup was injured for some of the years, so you had to give that benefit of the doubt. I'm just imagining how it's going to go with both of them healthy at the beginning of the season, each person. Like, I don't know who's stopping that Rams wide receiver core. Like, I don't know. Like, it's too good.
and we get to play them too, and I know that.
Oh, yeah, so you're going to have fun with that. But, yeah, it's going to be so much fun watching that. He did play all 17 games, and I see that was his year 1. That was his first year. And he had... So I didn't even get to his stats yet. His receiving stats were 1,486 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he averaged 14.2 yards per catch. It's like, bam. Like, that is rookie of the year right there. It has to be, right? Did he not win it? Like, I'm hoping he won.
I think he won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm hoping he did.
Because that's also my number 7. He's
Okay.
picking Nakua.
Nice.
Well, you forgot. I add this in caps. As a rookie,
Yeah.
105 catches. You forgot to mention that.
Oh, only for 105 for that.
105 catches,
Whew.
1,486 yards, 6 touchdowns, 14.2 yards
Wow.
a catch, which is amazing. Like, you can't get much better than that as a rookie wideout.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Seriously. My number 6, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. So,
Ooh, Lions, man.
Lions best wideout. 119 catches for 1,515 yards and 10 touchdowns. But the reason why he's a little lower because his yards per catch, 12.7.
Yeah.
His yards per catch was a little down a little bit.
That is amazing numbers, man.
Oh, you're number 6.
My number 6 is your team's A.J. Brown.
Okay.
So for A.J. Brown, he had played all 17 games. He's been in the league for 5 years. His receiving yards, he had 1,456 receiving yards. He had 7 touchdowns, and he averaged 13.7. The only reason I have Brown over Nacua is experience.
And also playoff and normal experience.
Yeah, like he's had playoff experience. He's had like more years in the NFL relative to Nacua. That's the only reason I have Nacua lower is because of that.
Okay.
Because if we were going by stats alone, Nacua would be better, I think. But A.J. Brown was so close, and plus the touchdown, he technically beat him out. So,
He's number 5, sir?
yeah, my number 5, getting to that, is Mike Evans. We already touched on him a little bit, but the consistency of this man is absurd. Like, he's had quarterbacks like turn the ball over Jameis Winston He had
Brady.
He had Tom Brady, and then he has Baker Mayfield. He has had quarterbacks at all different levels, and he still every year consistently gets 1,000 yards,
which is insane.
Yeah, that's insanity.
You don't do that for
you don't.
Like 8-9 years in the league. I'm pretty sure he has.
This last year in particular, he's been in the league for 10 years too. His receiving yards were 1,255 yards. That's not the most impressive, but it's still in the thousands. He had 13 touchdowns. That was his impressive feat, and he averaged 15.9 yards per catch. So there you go. How about you?
My number 5, I have A.J. Brown.
There you go. We just switched him. That's it.
Yeah, I just switched him. As you went over his stats, 106 catches for 1,456 yards, 7 touchdowns, 13.7 yards a catch. Well, obviously, it's my wideout. I got to kind of be a little biased here and put him in at number 5, but he's not as good as these 4. And I'm putting this Dallas wideout over my wideout, CeeDee Lamb.
Oh my God!
It's true. Like you got to put CeeDee Lamb up on here. 135 catches for 1,749 yards, 12 touchdowns and 13 yards average per catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your number 4, right?
What?
That's your number 4?
Yeah, that's my number 4.
Dang. Yeah,
I mean,
that's crazy.
I mean, why not? Like he's good.
Oh yeah. My number 4 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He played 16 games. It was his third year in the NFL, and we already kind of went over his stats a little bit, but I'm just going to rehash them. He had 1,515 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he averaged 12.7 yards per catch. Like, it's pretty solid. But when you want to compare it to the next one in line, it's not even close. Because my number 3 is CeeDee Lamb.
You switch.
So for my receiving yards, for him, was 1,749. Number 2 in the league in receiving yards, I believe.
Yeah.
Just behind my number 2. 12 touchdowns. And he averaged 13 yards per catch. So
It was not great in the yards per catch, but everything else
was fantastic.
And my number 3, I have Jamar Chase. So here,
That's a bit high.
Let me explain, sir.
I know.
100 catches for 1,216 yards and 7 touchdowns, 12.2 yards average last year. It could have been better, but his QB was hurt for a majority of the season.
And yeah,
It's
why I had him in honorable mentions because of I gave him benefit of the doubt, but at the same time I was like.
But if he had his quarterback, because he got injured like early.
It was like halfway in the season.
No, earlier than that.
No, he got injured in that Baltimore game after they were 4-4.
That's fair. But
So it was halfway.
Still, halfway through the season, you lose your quarterback, and now what?
Yeah.
That's why he's up here. That's why he's... And this might come as a shock to you at number 2 is Justin Jefferson, number 2.
What?
Hold on. 68 catches for 1,074 yards and 5 touchdowns. Last year he dropped off, well, obviously because of him getting injured and his quarterback also getting injured as well. But you remember, he could have had a lot more if he wasn't injured and his quarterback was healthy. 15.8 yards per catch.
All right. Well,
go with your number 2.
My number 2 is Tyreek Hill. He led the league in receiving yards with 1,799. He had 13 touchdowns, tying number 1 with Mike Evans, and he averaged 15.1 yards per catch. There's not much to say about it. He's the speed demon. He goes crazy.
The cheetah.
That's what we call him, yeah. He's definitely one of the best receivers in the league. But he's not the best because my number 1 is Justin Jefferson. Here's the thing. Yeah, his receiving yards. He had 1,074. He had 5 touchdowns, and he averaged 15.8 yards per catch. So that doesn't sound impressive until you realize he missed half the season pretty much.
And you also got to remember the quarterback injury, too.
Yeah. But even then, he missed half the season.
He still got 1,000 yards.
How do you miss half a season and still get 1,000 yards? It's just not. That's not normal. He's too good. He has to be number 1.
I think you probably have an idea of what my number 1 spot is.
Yeah, I know.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
You probably don't know this, but he had the same amount of receptions as 2 years ago.
Really?
119.
Dang.
Back-to-back.
That's an interesting fact.
Back-to-back 119 receptions and back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. And he had 13 TDs last year, 15.1 yards per catch. There's nothing. There's not much to say about Tyreek Hill. You know how he is.
Yeah.
And
He's great, and don't get me wrong, but just Justin Jefferson's like at another level.
yeah, we know that, but I just want to make things interesting with Tyreek along with that as well.
Yeah. All right. So something I want to get into, and it's the final part that we did last week, which was where we did an NFC and AFC's best receiving duos. So, which team in the NFC has the best wide receiver duo?
Man, that's tough. Because in the NFC?
In the NFC. Because here's the receiving.
I'm debating A.J. Brown and Smitty, but I want to go with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of guys I can list off. Like, because ICU said A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Like, that's one right there. Yeah, and those are the one that, like, Cooper Kupp and Nacua. You got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
There's so many lethal,
from the Bears.
There's so many lethal.
Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I could probably include up in that. Like, Addison's good, too.
He's okay.
Like, I wouldn't have him as the best, but he's there. Lamb and Cooks.
Well, Lamb's their main
main guy, but Brandon Cooks is a beast still. You got Debo and Ayuk.
That's always the lethal combo.
Yeah, like you got a lot in the NFC.
It's hard to choose one.
And for me, I think I'm going to have to go with your teams. I think AJ Brown and Devontae Smith is the most lethal wide receiver duo in the NFC.
I'm so tempted to pick my team, but I'm have to go with Cooper Kupp and Nacua.
Like, yeah, and like that is lethal too. Like they're like right behind it for me. Like they're like my number 2 pretty much. But like for me, I have to go with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Like that, you guys have. They're so hard to stop. Now AFC.
There's not a lot in the AFC that could be like lethal.
The examples I can give you are Jamar Chase, T. Higgins,
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle,
Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins.
That's another good one.
Yeah. You got. Wow, I think that's actually it.
There's not many like.
There's actually not that many. In the AFC. Wow. Okay. The NFC had a lot more.
What do you
receivers.
got? What do you got?
For me, I think I have to give it to like the overall like duo package.
I think
I'm gonna have to give it to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think I have to do that in the AFC. Like, there's no way. Like, they're both big speed demons. Like they're so hard to stop both sides. They both can get over 1,000 yards each easy. Like, it's so hard to like go against them here. Like, that's so good.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, taking Tyreek and Jalen. Waddle and Hill.
Yeah, number 2 though for that for sure would definitely have to be Diggs and Collins though. Like that's got to be a very lethal dude.
That's debatable with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah, I think my number 2. That's my number 2. Number 3 would have to be Chase and Higgins. Like for sure, those are the top 3 for sure in the AFC. Everybody else doesn't really have a number 2.
No, not really.
Like there's a lot of good number 1s in the AFC, but not a lot of number 2s. So it's interesting.
Sounds like the NFC is more stacked than the AFC wideout wise.
It is, which is weird because the AFC has been the most like competitive recently. So it's like
now it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's becoming the opposite soon. But well, there you guys have it. Please hit the subscribe button when we finish up here. We really would love to have more people come in. And anyway, as always,
this is Luke.
And I'm Elijah. And we are the Eagles of Steel. Bye.